In a quaint little village surrounded by rolling hills and thick forests, there lived an old lady named Mary. Everyone in the village knew Mary, not because she was rich or powerful, but because she had the kindest heart anyone could imagine. She was small in stature, her back slightly bent with age, but her eyes sparkled with warmth and wisdom. Her laughter was light, like the gentle ringing of a bell, and it had a way of brightening the gloomiest of days. Though Mary lived alone in a modest little cottage at the edge of the village, she was never truly lonely. The villagers loved her dearly. Many would often stop by, bringing her bread, fresh fruits, or firewood, and in return she would bless them with her wisdom, her prayers, or sometimes simply with her listening ear. Children would run to her cottage after school to listen to her stories that taught them kindness, courage, and patience. To Mary, life was simple but full, and she always found joy in the small things, like the smell of freshly baked bread or the sound of birds chirping in the early morning. One chilly autumn morning, when the leaves had turned golden and the air carried the scent of wood smoke, Mary decided she needed to gather some firewood for her fireplace. Wrapping a woolen shawl around her shoulders, she set out with a small basket in hand. The forest was serene, filled with the sound of rustling leaves and the occasional caw of a crow. Mary walked slowly, her feet crunching the fallen leaves, humming a little tune that kept her heart cheerful. As she wandered deeper into the forest, she stumbled upon something unusual. Half buried under a mound of dirt and leaves was a large old pot. Its rim was covered in moss and the earth had partially swallowed it, as if trying to keep it hidden. Mary's curiosity was stirred. She brushed away the dirt with her hands and leaned down to lift the heavy lid. To her astonishment, the pot was filled with glittering gold coins. For a moment, Mary's heart skipped a beat. Her old, tired hands trembled as she picked up one of the coins. It gleamed in the pale sunlight like a drop of sunshine itself. Mary's mind raced. She had lived her whole life in simplicity, sometimes even with hardship, yet here lay enough wealth to change everything. She imagined herself living in a grand house with tall windows that let in the morning light. She pictured herself sitting in an elegant chair by a large fireplace, sipping warm tea while wearing clothes made of the finest fabrics. No longer would she have to rely on the villagers for food or wood. No longer would she worry about the cold winter nights. Comfort and luxury seemed to lie within her reach. But there was one problem. The pot was enormous and far too heavy for her frail frame to carry. Determined, Mary put her mind to work. She had always been resourceful. Searching nearby, she gathered wooden planks and tied a sturdy cloth around the pot. With great effort, she fashioned a makeshift slide. Slowly and with all her strength, she began to drag the pot toward the direction of her cottage. At first, she was filled with excitement. Each step felt like a step closer to her dream. But as she paused to catch her breath and peered into the pot, she noticed something strange. The gold coins had lost their golden glow. They had turned into silver. Mary froze, disappointment pricking her heart like a sharp thorn. "Oh dear," she whispered. "The gold has gone." For a moment she felt sorrow. Gold would have brought her grand wealth, but then she quickly reassured herself. "Silver is still valuable," she thought with a smile. "I can still buy a nice home. I can still sit by a warm fire. Silver is no less a blessing." Encouraged by this thought, she continued dragging the heavy pot. Her back ached and her hands grew sore, but she kept moving. Yet as she pulled it further, she heard a faint clinking sound. Looking inside again, her heart sank. The shining silver had now turned into iron, dull, heavy, and common. Mary stopped, staring at the pot in silence. For the first time, despair washed over her. Iron had no great value. Her visions of luxury and ease seemed to vanish like smoke in the wind. A pang of regret stabbed her heart, and she sat down on a rock, exhausted and disheartened. But then Mary closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She thought about her life before she had found the pot. She remembered the joy of sitting in her cozy cottage, the warmth of her neighbors' visits, and the laughter of children at her stories. She thought of the simple meals that tasted so delicious because they were shared with love. A gentle smile spread across her face. "What am I doing?" she whispered. "Was I not happy already? Did I not already have everything I needed?" She realized that happiness had never been missing from her life. It had always been there, hidden in the kindness of her neighbors, in the beauty of the forest, in the peace of her heart. Slowly, Mary rose to her feet. She looked at the heavy pot filled with iron and chuckled softly. "You are too heavy for me," she said, "and I do not need you. My treasure lies elsewhere." With that, she left the pot in the forest and began her walk back home, her steps light, her heart free. That evening, as she sat by her small fireplace on her old but comfortable chair, she felt a warmth in her heart that no gold could ever buy. The fire crackled, casting a soft glow on the walls of her cottage, and Mary felt utterly content. She had learned something priceless, that true happiness comes not from gold or silver, but from gratitude, love, and a heart that knows peace. From that day forward, Mary lived as she always had, helping her neighbors, sharing her wisdom, and receiving their love in return. And she remained cheerful no matter the circumstances, teaching all who knew her that joy is not found in wealth, but within oneself. Mary's story spread across the village, and people often remembered her words. Be happy in every situation, for a grateful heart is richer than any pot of gold.